4 radio stations in one great app. MCBN Media Group app is a must-have app for all global Pinoys who love music. Free to download. Pinoy Radio, today's best Filipino music, plays the latest pop music with a mix of good old throwback OPM hits. Crosswave, the right hit music mix. America's Top 40 CHR Internet Radio slides back from the 90s and 2000s playlist. And today, Jeepney Pinoy Radio. Tara, sakay na! Let's rock and roll! The alternative way to listen mainstream and Pinoy indie music, OPM rock, and rap. Handpicked into one great playlist with live and acoustic versions. Plus, featured Tunog Kalye faves. MCBN Radio, 24/7 of the most listened American and British throwback hits from the 70s and 80s. With live broadcast feature and serving as the voice of the community. MCBN TV, live TV programs and mainstream blogs from great entertainment personalities and social media influencers. Download now. Heard the name Jezebel de Venecia? The lady is into a lot, like realtor, investor, business owner. Get this, risk taker. But what I love most is money maker. She deals with professionals, people from real estate business, strategists, specialists, as well as influencers and artists. Learn from her. Get the knowledge you need. Catch the latest trends. Know more about buying your own home. She's definitely the right person for these kinds of discourse and related questions. Kaya ngayong linggo, catch the program Bahay-Kubo to Mansion. At sa tulong niya, make your dreams and goals. Live on PinoyRadio.com and MCBN.TV.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in to Bahay-Kubo to Mansion, where we talk to influencers, business owners, bloggers, and entrepreneurs, and we learn about their secret sauce to success, their stories, their daily habits, and whatnot. My name is Jezebel de Venecia. I'm your host today. Today, I'm so excited because we're going to hear from a friend of mine. Her name is Marjorie Quintos, and she has helped out a lot of Filipino kababayans to come to Canada and also to the U.S. Please welcome Marjorie, Miss Beautiful. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Not too bad, thank you. So I've known Marjorie actually. I met her in Berlin, some party, and
Yeah,
we've met.
it was a conference.
Yeah, it was a conference. Many times in Berlin and also in Vancouver and Montreal when you were here in Toronto as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's how I know her for the last 5, 6 years now.
2016 is when we met, or 2017 was when we
2017.
met
Wow, it's been that
in
long.
Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 years.
But you're not the thing I like about you is you're not just an immigration consultant. You're also a business owner, a real estate investor. So we're gonna get to know you today.
Well, I'll tell you all my secrets, okay?
But most of all, I also want you to tell the secrets on how to come to Canada if there is,
Of
so
course,
that a lot
yeah.
of people, it's the land of the free. Before we even
Mhm.
get to our Bahay-Kubo to Mansion here in
Oh,
Canada, you
wow.
first have to land here, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
who is Marjorie?
Simple from Ilocana, from Pangasinan, Ilocana, like
Oo,
you.
gayam niya.
Ah,
Ilocano, syempre. Yun napintas
When
talaga ko, Ilocano.
napintas kan magagat.
Ah,
Yan
wag.
laing
Yan
gigam ti
talaga.
kwarta. So in Tagalog, magaling humawak ng pera.
Ay, oo. Yun daw ang sabi. Mga Ilocana, ganon. So when did you come to
Yeah.
Canada?
2005. Like many Filipinas who came to Canada, I came as a caregiver.
Mm-hmm. Through
And
Merkin? I know you work for Merkin.
no. A relative found an employer for me, and that employer didn't even need me when I got here because of the long processing time, right? And then, so I was out of employment for a year and a half, because it's not that easy to just find an employer and then work for them, right? You
Mhm.
still have to go through a process of having a work permit and all that to change your conditions of stay here. And so, like, I was working under the table. I don't know if
Okay.
that's even
Yeah.
like at that
At
time,
that
like you
time,
have to
they
survive,
can't do.
right?
CRA can't do anything
So
now.
yeah, yeah. Back then, it wasn't that strict. I mean, you just have to get by. But like those are short employments because I obviously I didn't have that experience. I worked for several families. Some of them have 5 kids and a dog and 9-bedroom houses,
Wow.
and I couldn't, yeah, I couldn't keep up with the huge change because alam mo sa Pilipinas
You were an
we have
engineer?
helpers.
Mm-mm. Ano yung
So
natapos mo sa Philippines?
I was a chemical engineering graduate in
Mm.
Philippines, and before I came, I worked for Caltex Philippines in
Mm.
the refinery in the laboratory, and then I also worked as a teacher for caregivers after I took my caregiver course. Yeah, so that's what it is. Then I
So you
came as a caregiver here, and then because I couldn't get an employer that will employ me for as long as until I get my permanent residency. I had to switch to student.
Oh, okay. So talagang
Yeah,
naranas mo rin pala yung mga different processes.
yeah,
Okay. And then we'll talk
yeah.
about that. And then when did you go after you became a student? Anong ginawa mo? A student for immigration consultant or
Not yet. No, I took chemical BS chemistry at
dito?
Concordia University. Yeah, is like that was a course that I was already I already graduated from, so I might as well just continue it, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then like the rule back then, which is the same as the rule now, is while you're studying, you can work full time.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, before I became a student, I was working part time at Mercan because I was also introduced by the same family member, um, and because in 2005 ish, as soon as I arrived, there was a plan for the company to expand in the Philippines, and they were trying to bring oil rig workers, and that was
Mm.
where I started in Philippines. I worked in the oil industry, so I had the contacts, I had the connection to find Filipinos to work in Alberta basically. And
Mm.
so I was studying and working at Mercan full time, actually part time at that point. But I was basically hired as a consultant to start the business in the
In the
Philippines.
Philippines.
2006, fast forward, we established Mercan Philippines.
Oh wow. You also
So that was,
established a lot of other merchants. I met you in Dubai. Or no, your boss's son, I think I met in
yeah,
Dubai.
in
Yeah.
Dubai. Yeah, yeah.
You
So
also
that I think
established
that
that,
was my
right?
role. Yeah, I check the market, I see which programs are available, and then I, I am deployed to open offices.
Oh, I see. So let's talk now sa mamaya kasi ang dami-dami may business ka, may mga investments ka. But first let's
Mhm.
talk about your main which is your immigration. So
Yeah.
how is the process? Paano 'yon? Or may streamline ba na mas madali?
Well, ever since naman wala talagang madali eh. It's more difficult now. Mas naging competitive na yung immigration process. And as for me, me as an example, back in 2005, I only got my permanent residency ng 2010, 5 years
5 years.
after.
Oh.
Yeah. And I know na mas mahirap ngayon, pero mahirap na ever since eh. Hindi na ganun kadali. Mas madali lang before kasi walang English test or French test. I also had to apply for my PR in Quebec because I was working in Quebec. So I had to learn how to like to pass the French test. um, for me to get my permanent residency. Now, when it comes to the fastest route, wala talagang mabilis. It's just what what is the most viable for Filipinos is what I can say,
Ano yung
right?
most viable
Kasi
sa Filipino?
yeah, so let's trim it down to several aspects, okay? Because immigration in Canada is there's like over 100 programs
Wow, I didn't
actually.
know that. Most of
Yeah.
the time, I know student visa. That's how I was
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah,
Also,
that's
tsaka
the
caregiver.
pathway.
Yeah.
But when it comes to streams, there's like over 100, like I mentioned. Because
Wow.
then there's the federal and then there's provincial. The
Mm-mm-mm.
federal government has their own programs, and each province has their own programs as well.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what that's what's called the provincial nominee programs. And each province, each program has their own different streams. My low stream, low wage, high wage, my high scale, low scale, my family class, my own the student class. But at the end of the day, like you see, what is viable for Filipinos is because of 6 factors that you need to look into. Na talagang kinoconsider ng Canada. Like I said, it's become competitive now, right? Like
Mm-mm.
it's not that um, kukuha na lang basta-basta ng immigrants in Canada. They have to evaluate what's best for Canada per se, right?
Mm-mm.
So
Mm-mm.
the factors include your age, your education, your work experience, adaptability, meaning how can you adapt to the province or to the location where you are planning to live permanently, and a permanent job offer.
Kailangan
Did I
talaga
say
yung
six?
permanent job offer.
It's not mandatory, pero it boosts your points.
My
So
point,
age, education, work experience, adaptability, yung job offer, and what else am I missing? I don't have my notes. But anyway, there's 6 factors. Um, and in many cases, an applicant's also evaluated according to their ability to become economically established in Canada, meaning they're not granting you permanent residency in order for Canada to have more people that they will be liable on medical
yeah, medical.
expenses, and like you have to show that you are a long-term taxpayer basically, and will not sabotage or take what's in for Canada, including yung mga services, social services, medical services,
Mm-mm.
and all that. So the age has
Ano
become
yung age? Anong
uh,
magandang age?
age is of course the workforce, the working class. it's
Mm-mm.
it's around 18 to 25.
So what if you're
Sorry, 18 to
45?
35.
What if you're, yeah,
35.
35? What if you're 45? Does that mean your points goes down a bit?
Yeah, so at the age of 35, basically under the federal skilled worker class, the age of 35, your points start declining
Mm-mm. Kasi gusto,
until mag-zero.
ang point nila, they need you to be in the in the workforce. Hindi yung matanda ka
Exactly.
na and then you're,
Yeah.
syempre, pabigat ka na sa healthcare after in a
Mhm.
short period of time. Yun siguro ang tinitingnan din.
Yeah, practically speaking, why not, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're Canadians now too, so we understand um, yung purpose of bringing more qualified immigrants, so that when we grow old, the workforce can still pay for our pension.
I know.
you know,
Yeah.
so
So what about yung
um,
English test? Ano yung klaseng test
yes,
na?
that's what I always
Mm-mm.
forget to mention. Yeah, the English test. There are two that are acknowledged right now in Canada, which
Mm-hmm.
is yung CELPIP and IELTS.
Okay. Explain yung
Um,
CELPIP kasi most people know IELTS, right?
yeah, CELPIP has always been computer based.
Mm.
But ang pagkakaintindi ko is mas madali siya than IELTS. IELTS, you can choose between paper-based or computer-based exams, and I've taken IELTS more than once actually. Um, Both are parang just to check the aptitudes of your English proficiency. Um, but there are different language levels that are required depending on the skill level of the person, of the applicant. Meaning, if you're working in a managerial job or in healthcare, then of course the language aptitude should be higher.
So, ano
You
yung
know, like
higher? Healthcare is what, 7.5, like that?
yeah.
Average
So the
7 to 7.5.
perfect score is 9.
Ang hirap nun, no?
And in healthcare, you have to have the thing with the IELTS, it's complicated. Yung Canadian language benchmark does not necessarily mean that it's you know yung test results eh. Okay, so in IELTS, yung 6 is converted to CLB, Canadian Language Benchmark 7. So what you look into is yung results dapat 6 or 6
6
flat.
and up.
No, 6 ang average. But in speaking, you have to have a minimum of 6.5. That's for healthcare. And that's for like RNs, the healthcare professionals. Pero like may mga different levels, right? So the lower level you are in, the lower than yung requirement ng English test.
So when
but
they're doing,
everyone applying has to take English test.
so yung doing yung English test, hindi lang written. It's, what are the 4 different
Four.
things? Yeah, what are they?
So there's a speaking, listening, reading, and writing.
I did the IELTS before, and I gotta tell you, getting a 7.5 is pretty tough. Like,
Yeah.
even like
Yeah.
I know a Canadian who did it, and
Yeah.
they didn't even get like an 8 or a 9 perfect
Yeah.
score, and they were born
Well,
raised here.
Mind
really
you,
tough.
like, will you pass a Filipino test if you were to take it, di ba? Hindi naman talaga. Kaya nagkaroon ng requirement for that, for those exams, because immigration visa officers, basically, they don't have that capacity to assess your language level, right? Like, not because you're American and you speak English all your life would mean that you actually have the right level that we need. So
what are the different programs? Like, just name a few of the programs. I know there's like Express
Name a few?
Entry. Yeah.
Yeah, the most popular is Express Entry, but the wrong what is it? The misconception? Okay, the misconception about Express Entry is that Express Entry is not an immigration program per se. It is a management system wherein several immigration programs are managed. Right, so immigration programs that fall are being managed under Express Entry include the Canadian Experience class, which requires a person or an applicant to have been working in Canada for at least 1 year continuous. Okay, that's one. Another one is the Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is the points-based immigration program na kung saan tinitignan yung 6 selection factors that we've talked about. And everyone can apply, including the ones who haven't worked in Canada or studied in Canada yet. And then there's the provincial nominee programs that also are linked with the Express Entry. And then there's the Federal Skilled Trades Program, which is focused on the trades and transport and people who work in the trades industry, basically. So those 4 are managed by Express Entry. So everyone can actually attempt to apply by submitting their expression of interest in the form of an Express Entry profile. And now with the Express Entry system, what it does is it ranks all the individuals, all the applicants worldwide in a certain comprehensive ranking system, wherein there are also points awarded to those 6 selection factors that I've mentioned. So ibang point system naman to. And every year, 15 times a year, Canada draws the highest ranking applicants from the Express Entry pool. So with my quota yan every year. Canada has a quota. It used to be 280,000.
For Express Entry, 280?
Like everything, lahat na ng ng immigrant visas that will be granted. It's 280,000. So the Minister of Immigration allocates how many visas are to be approved under the express entry and then under the provincial nominee program or whatnot. So by having express entry as a system, there's an element of control as to who qualifies first, who gets permanent residency, and how many immigrants can Canada take. Kasi nga, like they have to control also the level of population and the economy of Canada by doing that.
Tsaka di ba dito sa nakikita ko sa vlog mo na they need a lot, especially in Quebec currently, they need a lot of like butchers, workers,
Mhm.
right? And these are not your managerial type of jobs.
Yeah. So there's a labor market that dictates that. The temporary foreign worker program is a program that's always been there. Actually, caregivers fall under the temporary foreign worker program.
Really?
So
Di ba
yeah,
may
so
ano
temporary
quote yun?
foreign work.
May quota yun, di ba? Ngayon, may quota na ang
Yeah,
ano,
it's closed.
close
It's
na.
closed right now. Yeah.
I didn't even know that kasi I tried to get my cousin, right? And then one of the immigration consultants said, "Oh, we put the application on January 1st, I think, and within I guess within
A few hours.
yeah, even that day it's closed."
So that's also one way for Canada to manage the intake of applications. All right. Kasi nga, when the applications have parang may passive submission like before, back in the days, let's say 5 years ago, you can just make an application and wait to be processed, right? So and then because ang daming nag-a-apply, ang daming nagsasubmit, Canada had to return in 2008 like ang daming applications ang na-cancel because hindi na nila ma-process dahil sa sobrang daming apply. And so ngayon ang ano ng Canada is that they open programs but also mayroon ng certain intake of applications na may quota, mayroong deadline, at kapag may quota, it's a first come first serve basis, right? Pag may first come first serve basis na walang ranking system like they would for express entry, then yung talagang unahan, it's ano, like December pa lang naka-prepare na yung applications ng mga applicants para pag open ng ng portal, boom, submit na sila.
Yeah, because I was at an immigration consultant offices. I think at one time I don't know what they were doing, but I remember all their laptops was open. Is it like that? I don't.
Yeah.
Everybody was working.
There was a time in 2013, 2014 where we rented a school. Dahil may quota na 5,000 for Quebec naman to. And in 1 hour, nag-shutdown yung system. Kasi mind you, like, ganun talaga unahan di ba? So, madami nang nag-create ng bot, marami nang nag-create ng automatic,
So I think yung one office na yun, all 20 office, they were all there, all 20, and they're just waiting for the timer and, to do all the, it was very interesting to see, actually.
And back then, dati, they even announced the opening, right?
Yeah.
Ngayon, hindi na You just
get an email?
Sa karamihan sa mga programs. For the caregiver, no, there was even a time na nag-open ng December 31st. So we had to have our staff like working on New Year's Eve.
I guess they were doing that so that less application.
Yeah, but still, ganun pa rin.
May mga pilot program rin, di ba?
Yeah.
Ano
a pilot is, as the name implies, a pilot program is parang tinitest ng government to see if it works. Usually runs for 5 years.
But this is for areas that are not so populated. Like, it'll never happen for Montreal, Vancouver, or Toronto, right?
Well, there's the RNIP, regional northern. No, yeah, actually, for populated provinces or cities, or well, let's say provinces, meron pa rin. There's always a pilot program, whether it's for temporary or immigrate or permanent immigration purposes. There's always a pilot because it's a long term. Parang the government has been testing, see how well which one works out, right? Including there's a pilot program um, for example, yung sa agriculture, it was a pilot program for the agricultural workers for them to get their permanent residency. Um, the main focus back then was um, for the professionals, diba? To
Yeah,
gain
yeah.
permanent residency in Canada,
Oo.
more like engineers, accountants, doctors, and then they end up not being able to perform their jobs in Canada anyway. So then nag-clog na yun yung mga white collar and professional workers here, and then nag-improve yung economy ng Canada. But then we started needing mga laborers,
Yeah.
service providers,
I was
service.
surprised. Talagang surprised ako na they need service provider even there in Montreal. Because I remember one of your blogs, you were showing, look, there's one cashier.
Yeah. Well, mind you, it's because the workforce now is different, diba?
Mhm.
Kung mga back in yung mga new fresh immigrants, um, you basically take whatever job that comes on your table. Pero ngayon, the younger people, they'd be, like rather than working in a fast food restaurant or whatnot,
Mhm.
mas magaling na silang they make more money just mining bitcoins. Diba? So
We have to
like
go. We have to go on break, Miss Beautiful.
yeah,
So 1 second. Give us
sure.
1 minute. We're gonna go on break. Then we'll be back.
Ang programang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng Action Honda, where car ownership is made easy. Located at 4334 Kingston Road, Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Kumusta kabayan? Ito si Rafael Nebres, General Manager ng Action Honda. Para makatipid, mapabilis, pagbili ng Honda sasakyan, kami laging may paraan. Laging may sales events at promotion, tama sa iyong kakayahan. Please call us at 416-281-1234, 416-281-1234. Bibili ka o hindi, it's always my pleasure to talk to a kababayan. Mabuhay!
The Traveling Filipino Festival is back. Canada Fiesta Extravaganza Year 2023, in giving our kababayans and other race and ethnicity as well a taste of Pinoy culture, tradition, entertainment, a variety of foodie goodies, and a bunch of souvenirs na tatak Noy. Well, join us for the Canada Fiesta Extravaganza 6 years strong, an event that unites the Filipino community together, bringing the experience to Toronto, Vaughan, Niagara, Hamilton, Montreal, and now in Surrey, British Columbia, and Miramichi, New Brunswick. This year's celebration of the Filipino heritage is like Miramichi, and let me use the phrase, it's more than you ever expected and never less than you can imagine. Join us this year in a whole enchilada of Pinoy Fiesta treat. It's epic. Canada Fiesta Extravaganza 2023. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Caregivers, unite! Your show is here. ATC. Ito tayong mga caregivers. Caregivers na nasa ibang parte ng ating mundo o nasa Canada mismo. Sama ka na sa palatuntunang tutugon sa iyong mga hinaing. Sasagot sa mga isyong bumabagabag sa inyong damdamin. Pag-uusapan ang mga temang napapanahon at mga hamon sa buhay ng mga caregivers ng kasalukuyang panahon. ATC, kasama ang inyong ating ATV Pagaduan. Heard the name Jezebel de Venecia? The lady is into a lot, like realtor, investor, business owner. Get this, risk taker. But what I love most is money maker. She deals with professionals, people from real estate business, strategists, specialists, as well as influencers and artists. Learn from her. Get the knowledge you need. Catch the latest trends. Know more about buying your own home. She's definitely the right person for these kinds of discourse and related questions. Kaya ngayong linggo, catch the program Bahay-Kubo to Mansion. At sa tulong niya, make your dreams and goals. Live on PinoyRadio.com and MCBN.TV.
Welcome back again to Bahay-Kubo to Mansion, where we're talking to Miss Marge about immigration and all her success. So, Miss Marge, what were we talking about?
I lost track.
Me too.
The
Well, let's talk
caregivers,
about
the
students.
immigration programs.
Students. Marami ng students ngayon di ba?
Yeah.
Anong nag-change
So-
from 3 years ago? Kasi it's very fast for Filipinos to come here as a student.
Well, there was a launch of what you call there's an expedited program for students from select countries, including the Philippines, wherein if you submit your language test and you have an enrollment in one of the schools that are recognized under this program, is you get processed on expedited manner, like a 1 month processing, sometimes even 10 days processing. But like I said, what's viable for Filipinos might not be viable for other nationalities. The thing with immigration, like as I've stated, it became more comprehensive, competitive, right? And for you to boost your points, you either have to get a job offer to work in Canada, or by being a student, you get the chance to work in Canada without having a job offer first. So I think that's the pathway that many people took, because then mostly what you call this, in demand occupations are in the low level, like mid level to low level skilled program. So can't expect a dentist in the Philippines to come and work here as a mushroom picker or whatnot, right? So it's either you come here with and study, take further studies so that you can work in the industry that you like. And many Filipinos can afford it, basically, because it's not cheap, right?
Yeah.
It's not cheap, but at the same time, like, when you go to the top universities in the Philippines anyways, you're pretty much spending the same as what you would spend if you studied in Canada. So yun yung isang naging pathway for many, especially when there was a strengthening of the ranking system under the express entry. And then so after they while they're studying, they can work. Now recently in October or November, they can work full-time now. Pero
40 hours.
For the most of the years that the student program was popular, they can only work 20 hours a week. Mas mahirap pa nung time ko. Kasi nung time ko, you can only work if you have a GPA of 2.
Yeah.
Or higher.
I think so. It was definitely higher. But now, I guess because of the short labor that we have, they're letting the students work. Pero the other thing is, that's how we know each other from the schools. So a lot of people come here through to like private career college as opposed to community college. And I've met a lot of them where they're like, oh, I spent so much and I went to a private career college, but then now I got to go back home, or I got to get, can you clarify that, or is that still?
Yeah. So what happens is there's this program, right? That's called the PGWP, Postgrad Work Permit. Pero hindi lahat ng schools are acknowledged by Canada for Canada to grant yung students postgrad work permit. So when you go to Canada website, you'll see a list of of institutions, the DLIs, the
Mhm.
designated learning institutions, wherein like if a student or foreign student studied there, they could get a work permit after they graduate, and the work permit granted, the validity is based on either the length of studies or the maximum of 3 years if the studies is 2 years or more.
Okay, so talagang mas maganda yung mga community colleges or universities rather than private career colleges. Kasi yung
Mhm,
mga private career colleges is short term sila, less than 1 year yung
mhm,
ano
mhm.
nila. So,
Yeah.
like is it 2 years you finish and then 2 years postgraduate, right? That you can work?
No, if you studied for 2 years, you'll get a 3 year postgrad work
Mm.
permit. But if the course is less than 2 years, then it's based on the length of your studies. So if you studied for 1 year, you'll only get a 1 year work permit. And the minimum length of studies is 8 months, wherein you can get 8 months of study of postgrad work permit.
Mhm. So you might as well go through
Yes.
the proper way and go to, community college or a
Um.
university.
Yeah. Or go to Canada's website and check for the DLIs
Mhm.
before you even enroll.
Okay, before you even enroll to any particular schools.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh, got it. Now, what about kung student ka? Can they bring their families?
Yes, as it has always been the case. Yeah, they can bring their spouse, but only one spouse,
Hindi dalawa?
as
What
I
about
always
yung
tell.
sineparate nila? One
I always
spouse?
say that whenever I do seminars, like you can only bring one spouse, and the children can go to school for free.
What about adoptive
So
children? Can they also come?
yeah, as long as there's legal adoption with the court judgment.
Oh, I see. Para pang ganun.
Mm.
Now, let's go back to yung skill trades. I think that's more
Mhm,
interesting to me. You
mhm,
were also bringing truck drivers and mechanics, right? Actually,
mhm,
we have the
mhm.
same client. So,
Yeah,
si Tenny, hi
Kuya
Kuya
Tenny.
Tenny, if you're watching. He called us. How do
I
you know? How do you know Marge? And I have another one that is
mm,
also my client who bought a house. And he said, "How do you know
mm,
Marge? Because she was the one who helped us come here." I was like, "Oh,
mm.
okay."
That's cute.
So ano yung
Yeah,
mga skill
well,
trades na
the
looking for right now?
skill trades is kind of it's a challenge in some way because they need, well, some province require license for some, and some province they don't. But for truck drivers, of course, they have to pass their driving test and go to truck driving school. They can't just like take a truck and drive here, diba?
Mm.
So yeah, it's one challenge. And in Ontario, for example, yeah, they can later on apply for permanent residency, but that's also a challenge because the truck drivers are a low skilled category before, but
Mm-hmm.
now they've been upgraded to high skilled category,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
can now apply. Yeah. May mga ano naman, other trades like welders, mechanics,
Mm-mm.
yung mga pipe fitters, they depends on the province where they're going. Many provinces require a red seal certificate or a certain type of certain type of license that's required before they can even function or go to or join the workforce. And
So
that's a
can they
challenge because they have to take an actual exam.
So, halimbawa, they have a welding, for example. Can they take the
Mhm.
welding certificates of Philippines and then come here?
Depends on the province.
Oh.
Right. For example, for Quebec, welding is not a regulated trade, so they can come here with a job offer, an employer can hire them. Pero like for example, sa Alberta, they could not go there because they will need a certificates of qualification granted by the province, which is only obtained when you do the actual test. So how do you do the actual test when you're never here,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
So again, it depends on the province.
Depende lang. So, paano yung mga temporary worker? Kasi dito sa Niagara, near my parents, may mga
Mm.
farmers, pero most of them are Mexican. They come here
Mm-mm.
seasonally. Can they Can Filipinos come and do that too?
The seasonal agricultural worker program is only for select nationalities, mostly yung mga Southern Americans, like Mexicans, Guatemalans yata. Basta yung mga Spanish speaking. And they can come for 8 months, minimum 8 months, up to 1 year, and then they go back.
Oh, pero yung sinabi mong kanina merong agri, right? Na na program. So,
Yeah.
are they taking Filipinos in that end?
Yes, actually. So the agricultural program naman is allowing mga farm owners to hire foreign workers for as long as their yung mga tinatanim nila, their produce is listed as acknowledged by the government
Ano yung mga
of
produce?
Canada.
Alam ko
That
mushrooms.
excludes weed, basically.
Oh! Excluding yun,
Yeah.
So, I know
Excludes
mushroom was
weed.
one, pero yung definitely greenhouses.
Yeah.
Mga berries.
Yeah, greenhouses, mga berries, mga like any produce that's listed on the site. I even have agricultural question. Like there's an employer who was looking for chicken catchers.
Ano?
Like one would think chicken catchers in
Really?
Ontario.
Wow,
Yeah.
chicken catchers. Why do they need to catch a chicken? Don't they just kind of
Di ba may mga free range na chicken? Like
Oh,
they
I
roam around in
see.
the farm.
Okay.
So,
Yung mga
yeah.
free range chicken na.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. Pero what kind of
Yeah.
qualification can one have for something like that?
Well, it's funny kasi so when I got the phone call, sabi ng employer is so of course like I have to check whether this will qualify under the agricultural stream, right? And it's not listed as a produce because they're not really planting, so hindi siya qualified under the agricultural program. But then it could qualify under the low wage stream, the low skilled stream. But then they have to may quota kasi as to how much employers can hire. Like at that time, it was 10% of their current workforce. It's not much, right?
That's
but they
not a
need
lot.
like 20 or 30 like chicken catchers. And so when I ask for a qualification, and I also ask for a wage, and like to cut it short, hindi ko na-accept yung job order because they wouldn't have qualified. Because walang silang standard na wage available. And it's like a per parang piece rate yung salary.
Huh?
Depende kung ilan ang mahuli nila.
Ilan makumong chicken?
Yeah.
Pero
and they weigh it.
Pero
So
siguro
like,
yung
depends.
yung to our kababayan siguro, masisipag. They will totally succeed in that.
And then they're also asked that so sabi is they're gonna work in tandem. They're gonna have a partner that works with. And then that's funny is sabi nung employer is we heard that Filipinos have a certain way of calling chickens.
Ano yun?
No, di ba? And then I'm like, yun ba yung krrr, krrr? Para lumapit yung manok. Kaya
maybe. Yeah. I used to do that. Yeah.
So sabi ko, I think I know what you're talking about. So it's a piece rate na salary, and then piece rate in hindi nga lang yung number of chickens that you'll catch. They weigh it, so based on the weight. So then my question was like, is it dressed or live chicken that you weigh? It's not really fair, diba?
Yeah. Then catch
in the end, hindi
fattest
siya
one.
nagbola.
Then they should catch the fattest one on that one.
Well, yeah. So yeah, you knew.
That's hilarious naman. Now, ano ba yung naririnig ng mga tao and even me? Can you explain yung lamia? Ano ba yun?
Okay, lamia is, let's put it this way, an employer who hires a foreign worker or who wishes to hire a foreign worker has to go through a process of screening to check if their business is legitimate and if their job offer is legitimate and if they are not really taking away the jobs that are intended for Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to treat the foreign workers equally as they would treat Canadians. So that's the purpose of the LMIA. An application is made and submitted to the government with proof of legitimacy of the business, but at the same token, the employer has to show that they've exerted their best efforts to hire
To
Canadians.
hire Canadian. Oh.
Mhm.
So each,
So
and that's by percentage, like what you were talking about. Like how
it
many they
depends
can
on the
hire.
industry, it depends on the skill level, and it depends on the wage of the person or the class of workers that are being hired. If it's under a low wage category, then merong quota. And if it's a high wage category, walang quota. And then also like there are certain list of occupations in different provinces na, for example, for Quebec, merong list of what we call in-demand occupations na walang quota.
Oh, ano
Kasi
yun?
there's already a known shortage of these kinds of workers in this
Ano
industry.
yung workers na yun?
It's like a list of like 70 occupations. I can't name all of them, pero that includes restaurant workers, mga construction workers, mga trades workers, and the like.
Definitely here in Ontario, we need trades workers. So, tsaka yung
Mhm.
mga, like, even the restaurant. So, may kakilala akong they own 3 restaurants. You know, they
Mhm.
had to get people from the Philippines. Can you
Mhm.
imagine? It's
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just really it's really sad that we don't have the workers here. Pero ang hirap din.
Well, we're first off, Canada has been underpopulated, right?
Mhm.
And if we want
Mhm.
to go forward, we either go take technology or human capital, which for me, it's still in favor of human capital.
So yung mga low skill, although it's skill, for example, like caregiver, right? It's not really
Mhm.
a high skill, but you still need to finish a level of education,
Yes.
right? Is that the same
This
for other, like a server, for example?
No, not really. It's just because, like, for caregivers, you're caring for a person, you're
Mm-hmm.
caring for a household, so it's kind of related to healthcare. So you have to have that level of training and education para makapag-perform ka ng duties mo. In fast food, it's more, more inclined into the experience, not just education, because we're educated, but then in the end, if you don't have work experience, then you might not be able to cope. Like, for example, there are different kinds of restaurant workers. Merong food servers, and then my fast food worker, na server. Like, who do you think will work faster in the fast food industry? Right? If
Mm-hmm.
they who has the work experience, like is it food server in fine dining or someone who actually had experience in fast food, those kind of things. Doon naman sa technical trades, education and training, and a combination of which are important. Kahit na hindi ka natapos ng high school, if you had the appropriate training, vocational training, and experience of thousands of hours doing, because it's manual work, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you cannot learn from school if you don't go actually join the workforce. And mind you, with vocational studies, you can
Yeah.
you can go to that level and take those courses without completing any formal education in the past.
Okay, we're gonna take a break, Marge, and then we're gonna
Okay.
talk about your new business. So we'll give it
Are we almost done?
yeah, almost done. 1 minute, and
Okay.
then we'll come back.
Okay.
Does it feel like no matter what you try, you're not getting any interviews? We all know the feeling, but don't get discouraged. We know why it's happening, and we have the solution. You need resumes. As a job seeker, you may make the mistake of thinking an application is all about you, your experience, and your accomplishments. Today's reality is that applicant tracking system software, or ATS, is used by most companies to compare keywords from the job description with your resume.
Are you looking for a place to live stream your next virtual event? MCBN Broadcast Center can help you explore the world of online events. We offer a mid-size green screen room to accommodate your next virtual events, equipped with state-of-the-art broadcast equipment and high-speed fiber internet. Experience a secure and uninterrupted live broadcast during the live stream. MCBN Broadcast Center also offers rental with our own broadcast facility for radio and TV, live streaming programs, and provides you with programming assistance. All these at a reasonable price. Located at 7894 Daffrin Street, Vaughan, Ontario, along Daffrin Street and 407. Give us a call at 905-781-6165 or email us at mcbngroup@gmail.com to book a tour. Heard the name Jezebel de Venecia? The lady is into a lot, like realtor, investor, business owner. Get this, risk taker. But what I love most is money maker. She deals with professionals, people from real estate business, strategists, specialists, as well as influencers and artists. Learn from her. Get the knowledge you need. Catch the latest trends. Know more about buying your own home. She's definitely the right person for these kinds of discourse and related questions. Kaya ngayong linggo, catch the program Bahay-Kubo to Mansion. At sa tulong niya, make your dreams and goals. Live on PinoyRadio.com and MCBN.TV.
Welcome back to Bahay-Kubo to Mansion, where we're talking to Marjorie Quintos. She is a very well-known registered immigration consultant here in Canada, but she just doesn't deal with Canadian. She also deals with the US, what is it called?
EB3.
EB3. And you also, I know you do some kind of, in Portugal, investment.
Yeah, the
still do
Golden
that?
Visa.
Golden
Visa
Visa?
program. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that because
Yeah.
I have 10 minutes with you. So I know
Okay.
you're also an influencer. I love your vlogs and I know a lot of people
Thank
love
you.
it. You helped out a lot of people. Just how many people do you think you or your company have moved to Canada?
Just the foreign workers, around 15,000 foreign workers and their families. We don't really count the families, but we have gotten over 50,000 immigrant visas.
Wow, that's a
So,
lot. And that's
yeah.
not including yung mga anak nila, yung mga lola, yung mga, after
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right? So that's a lot of
yeah.
lives that you've touched.
Yeah, it's parang nakakataba ng puso, but then it's not us, it's not Merkin, it's not me, it's them, right? Because
Mm-mm.
at the end of the day, it's their dreams that we're just trying to help them realize. Kasi hindi mo naman ma-force ang isang tao to apply for immigration if they didn't really
Yeah.
want to, or like sometimes I coach the clients to pursue what they have to pursue.
Mhm.
Including yun nga, to improve the language and stuff. So,
Pero yung mga
yeah.
vlogs mo are so fun to watch. They're not like boring.
Really?
Yeah, I like it. But how many followers do you have now in your YouTube? Is it YouTube? I know they're probably related. YouTube, Facebook.
Well, so YouTube, I have almost 92K and I have uploaded mga 30 videos only.
Oh, really? No,
Kasi
but
wala
they're very
akong time.
good.
On Facebook, as of today, I have 226K.
Oh, see?
So,
Malaki na yan, ah. So, pero yung naging influencer ka na, huwag mo akong kakalimutan. But
Dati pa akong influencer nung tayo-tayo pala.
Oo nga.
It's more, I don't know. No, it's just, I didn't become an influencer, I don't think. It's just like, it's, the situation calls for itself. When people ask the same question over and over and over, and then pandemic happened, they don't know where to go or who to ask. That's how I started doing my immigration vlogs. Para hindi na paulit-ulit yung mga tanong at paulit-ulit din yung mga sagot. Kasi it was getting a lot for me. Parang just like, getting the questions or message requests on Facebook. I used to get like 100 a day. and it's the same question.
Yeah.
And it's hard just to chat with one person is
I
too much. Like,
know.
I don't even chat with my friends that long. So I'm like, okay. And then pandemic naman, and then we were working from home and all. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's start with one video.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then yeah, ano na lang dun, nag-spiral na lang dun. But I don't do just any video. It's more of like um yung videos that I talk about, or no, the programs
Informative.
that I talk about, informative and long lasting, evergreen is what bloggers call it. Evergreen videos wherein it's not just the news. Like I don't announce like, okay, there's a pilot program here, there's that. No, I look at the videos that I make as something that people can watch 5 years from today,
Mm-hmm.
and it still applies to them.
Do you have any haters?
Kaya ko konti lang.
You
I
know,
don't
in terms
know.
of like, because when you become an influential, sometimes may
Yeah.
mga haters.
Yeah. No, well, the thing is, I don't look at 1 second. Okay, I just need 2 seconds.
Ano si Marge? Ayan.
Sorry. That's
Okay
just
lang.
I have my colleague saying goodbye. So like haters, I don't know. Like, kasi for me, I don't feel any hate with anyone, so I can't imagine anyone hating me. You know what I mean? Pero syempre, like, hindi kasi ako nagbibigay ng opinion. Whenever I post or put on a video, it's always, I manage to select what I say, and I make sure that um it I'm the most reliable person to say it. You know, you know what I mean? Hindi yung magpo-post lang ako ng based on my opinion. No, I just don't. Like, it's like when I talk about immigration, I always make sure that I'm correct, so that wala silang maiba-iba sa akin na may mali ako.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Na mali ako. Kasi yun yung the best asset ko yung knowledge ko. So like even lawyers come to me for consult sometimes, because may mga aspects that I know, and that's the only, yun yung mga subject that I speak about.
Yeah, and it
The ones
changes,
that I
right? Yung
know
mga
completely,
laws.
kahit tulog ako.
Yeah.
Meron naman yung mga syempre, like, mga hindi siguro ako kilala, or na nagsasabing, ay, nagbablog lang yan kasi para kumita ng pera sa YouTube. I'm like, yeah, right. Thank you. Yeah,
But
pero sayang din yun,
sayang,
like,
oo.
pero it's not my, it's not my bread and butter.
Oo. What you have a new baby, massage
Yeah.
expert. So that's your new baby right
Yeah.
now. Ano yun?
Yeah. I'm here right now as we speak. It's a franchise of a massage clinic. Massage experts. We have 32 locations across Canada and US. And ano lang siya, straightforward massage lang talaga. I had this property, this building, na iniisip ko, ano kayang gagawin ko dito?
You
It's
did
not like I'm
reno,
gonna live
yeah?
here.
Nagreno
Yeah,
ka.
I did. Yeah.
Malaking reno to, di ba?
Malaki. Oh my gosh. Kada hukay mo may iba, may lumalabas.
Siyempre,
Na
lumalabas
kailangan
yung
i-fix.
anong mga big reno na ginawa mo dito?
Well, first off, this building, it's a duplex. Okay. And then nung kinuha ko siya, talagang totally abandoned place. So I was thinking either I demolish it, kasi yung pagkabili is parang kung bibili ka ng lupa, mas mahal pa yung lupa sa mga few blocks away. So I'm like, okay. And then so the major one is like dun sa basement merong crawl space. And I wanted it to be a livable space. So pinahukay ko by 2 feet. Pagkahukay, yung foundation was kind of falling apart. So we had to reinforce
so reinforce
it.
the
We had to cement
foundation.
it.
Buti wala kang
Yeah.
molds, wala kang ganun-ganun sa mga reno mo. Kasi abandoned siya.
And then yung main floor was collapsing dahil pala yung mga poste sa ilalim hindi pala parang semento lang siya na may manipis lang na concrete na ganyan lang. So
Naging flipper
talagang
ka na.
and then Yung pinaka most na expense ko dito was for the clinic. Kasi syempre, when you're franchising company, you have to follow their standards, right? When it comes to from layout to design to materials that you use. And then also naisip ko na kasi when you're doing massage, not every client likes the same temperature. So nagpalagay ako ng HVAC in every room, and we have 10 rooms.
Oh, wow.
And
Ang
it's a
laki
lot.
pala
And
niyan.
then, yeah, we have 10 rooms. Oh, actually, 9 rooms, 9.5. And then I also had to consider the soundproofing.
Mhm.
So, yung mga walls talaga namin, talagang soundproof.
Mm.
Para yung mga clients will have the best experience.
And
Ganun.
so I know you're into real estate as well. You have your own property there in Montreal, and you have one in the Philippines, right? What do you do with your other one in the Philippines?
Pinapa-Airbnb ko.
Saan ba yun?
Actually, I have a property sa Quezon City. It's sa Grass Residences.
Mm.
It started with that, and then the other properties that I run under Airbnb are not really my properties, but I manage it. I hire people na magma-maintain, and then I take a cut on the
So you're parang ikaw
profit.
yung arbitrage na real estate
Hmm.
arbitrage. So
Yun ba yun?
yeah, it's
I
called
don't know.
like real estate arbitrage.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I take yung 40% from from the net kasi like ako rin yung sumasagot sa mga nag-inquire. And then yeah, I have people there na relatives ko who parang like they lost their jobs, and then so they're just working with me now.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I have fast
Yeah.
questions.
Mm.
Because we're almost there. Fast questions. I know you love Louis Vuitton or Chanel. I know you love bags. You and I connect with the bags. Louis Vuitton or Chanel?
Louis Vuitton.
How many bags do you have currently?
I stopped counting around siguro mga 30 plus.
Okay, colors, pink or red?
Red.
But you always have the same signature pink lipstick, huh?
Yeah. Kasi you can't have red all the way, diba? Parang masyadong fierce kung super red talaga.
And you
all the
also
way.
love to travel. You're an avid traveler. What's the best place you traveled to?
I would say London.
Oh yeah. What's the next travel for you? What's the next plane ticket? I mean, you're always traveling. That's how we met. We're meeting in. We've never met in Toronto. We've never met in Montreal. We've met in different places.
I'd like to go to Israel, Korea, and yeah, yun lang muna naisip ko.
Okay, what about this one? I know you have a lot of fans. What kind of date do you like? Fancy
What kind of date?
Yeah, fancy restaurant or Netflix and chill.
Well, fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about your favorite food? So where would they take you?
Ilocano food.
Anong fancy restaurant naman ang Ilocano food? Meron ba?
That's the thing. That's why it's fancy for me, because you can never have it, unless I cook it.
You mean they have to cook it for you?
Yeah.
Ano yun? Like, pinapaitan, dinengdeng, pinakbet, nya tinitikat mo, talutuan ka, no, oh my katoy.
Yeah, all of them. All of the above.
Kumakain ka nun? So you're...
Bopis.
Bopis. Pingka, ganon.
Queen.
O sige, time na daw, nagaganon na si Kuya. But thank you so much, Marge. And how do people get a hold of you? That's the most important.
Well, it's really kind of difficult to get a hold of me these days because of the backlogs. Pero on my Facebook, they will see a button na they can click para makuha na yung email address ko. And I would highly recommend that they watch my videos on YouTube and then ask the question there instead of just going and saying how to apply. Because, when you ask that question, you have to know what you're applying for, diba? So, yeah, go to my vlog and watch them. Everything that you need to know is there before you ask questions. And yun, that's the way. And then we have offices in Canada, 3 of them, and then we have offices in Philippines and Dubai that cater to Filipinos. But I'm based in Montreal, and I'm working with 100 different people. So
Parlez-vous
before they get
français?
to me, un petit peu, madame.
I don't know how to speak, so I don't even know what you said. I just said.
I just said just a little bit, ma'am.
Oh, look at this young lady. She speaks Ilocano, Tagalog, French, ano pa? English. Four
English.
language. Well, thank you once again. Thank you so much. No may katoy, ilotwang kanto.
When? Naimas ah.
Oh, sige. Mwah. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Heard the name Jezebel de Venecia? The lady is into a lot, like realtor, investor, business owner, YouTuber, podcaster. Get this, risk taker. But what I love most is money maker. She deals with professionals, people from real estate business, strategists, specialists, as well as influencers and artists. Learn from her. Get the knowledge you need. Catch the latest trends. Know more about buying your own home. She's definitely the right person for these kinds of discourse and related questions. Kaya ngayong linggo, catch the program Bahay-Kubo to Mansion. At sa tulong niya, make your dreams and goals. Kung may mga katanungan, i-PM agad on her Facebook page, email at jezebeld@hotmail.com or call direct at 416-704-7480. Bahay-Kubo to Mansion, hosted by Jezebel de Venecia, live on PinoyRadio.com and MCBN.TV.